Hello, YouTube. I'm Vince White. I'm an employment attorney. On this channel, we answer publicly posted questions from YouTube users, getting folks the answer they need from an employment attorney. Now, recently, very recently, perhaps moments ago, I was accosted by a gentleman, a very fine gentleman, great guy, lovely fella. And he said to me, Vince, I like your YouTube channel, but I think you're a liar. To which I said, I see you've been speaking with my family. And I thought that was really funny, but he didn't. He really didn't at all. And he said, you're lying to people saying they need an attorney when they don't actually need an attorney to file with the EEOC. And I said, I never said you need an attorney to file with the EEOC. I said you should have an attorney to file with the EEOC. You don't need one to file with the EEOC. And he said, not only do you not need one, you shouldn't get one because the EEOC is going to represent me. They told me that. Like, oh my God, that's incredible. They selected your case for enforcement. They're actually going to take over your case and litigate it for you? Well, I don't know. I just filed, but they're going to represent me. Okay. Who told you that they're going to assign you an attorney to represent you? The investigator. I was like, okay. What was the investigator's name? The investigator I spoke to. Who was that? The one I spoke to. Okay. What did he or she say? That they were going to represent me. So while I was chatting with this gentleman, I pulled up the 2023 statistics put out by the EEOC. They put out a report every year to tell the rest of the federal government what a great job they're doing in terms of their mission, which is to oppose unlawful, discriminatory employment practices and, sexual harassment in the workplace. And as a part of that really in-depth report, which I'm sure cost the taxpayers millions, they disclose that in 2023, the most recent report that I was able to find, in 2023, they received 81,055 new charges of discrimination. And from those 81,055 new charges filed in 2023, which seems low to me if I'm being honest, because if that's all they're dealing with, then frankly, just my efforts are a not insignificant part of that caseload. But neither here nor there. They're saying their own numbers reflect 81,055 new charges filed. And from those 81,055 new charges filed, let's see, it would say that they filed 143 lawsuits total. They filed lawsuits on 143 of the 81,055 cases they took in 2023. Now, of those 143 lawsuits, which it is worth noting, is a 50% increase in lawsuits filed year over year. 50% more lawsuits than they filed in 2022, which I applaud them on. That's big. 50% increase is a big deal. I applaud you. Only 86 of those lawsuits, only 86 of the 143 lawsuits they filed were filed on behalf of individuals. The rest were broken down as such. 32 non-systemic suits with multiple victims, and 25 systemic suits involving multiple victims or discriminatory policies. So when I say that I think you need an attorney at the EEOC level, it's not because I think you should just give an attorney money for nothing, right? Specifically, it's because based on the data promulgated by the EEOC itself, it is incredibly unlikely they're going to help you. Now, it doesn't mean your case might not resolve at the EEOC level. But it does mean that the individual driving that success in your case would very, very likely either be your attorney or yourself. It's probably not going to be the EEOC assigning you an attorney, just based on the numbers they've put out here. And on this channel, I get the chance to speak to some of the brightest pro se litigants I've ever known, right? People congregate here when they're litigating pro se to get answers to their questions. So I'm lucky enough to speak to the best and the brightest of the non-attorneys representing themselves, which are, of course, pro se litigants. And I'm always impressed by them. But I am always struck by the reality that the pro se litigant with the most experience I've ever known brought 3 cases. 3 cases in total. And each one of those cases was legitimate. And that person, that very talented, very intelligent human being, devoted hundreds of hours per case and got results. But in part because these were her first 3 cases ever, and because she lacked both a law school background and any semblance of trial training, although she did generate positive results in all 3 of those cases. Sadly, I would say she perhaps took pennies on the dollar of what she could have hoped to achieve had she had counsel. So I do think you should have an attorney if you're dealing with workplace discrimination. I do fully believe that you should have an attorney if you're dealing with workplace sexual harassment. I think you should have the attorney at the EEOC level because the fee is not going to change, right? If they're taking a percentage of what they're going to win for you, get them on the case early. Let them earn it. Yeah, if you're taking a percentage of the result and you start working on day 1, generally, in every retainer agreement I've ever seen, almost every retainer agreement I've ever seen, the percentage is the same on day 1 as it is on the last day of trial. So why are you breaking your back and introducing risk as someone who does not do this for a living by handling the EEOC without counsel when the fee remains the same if you get that attorney in earlier? And in fact, you might take home more because the attorney has more time to reduce the risk and add value to the claim, to earn their fee, to make themselves valuable doing what we're supposed to be doing. Again, reducing risk, adding value. That's what we do in these cases. You want to maximize the value of the claim. And you want to remove as much risk as you possibly can. That's the goal. That's the game, right? Why wouldn't you start that on day 1? Why not? The fee's the same. Again, the fee's the same. So, listen. I'm not offended that gentleman called me a liar. And he was actually very likable. We had a good conversation. But he was just wrong. He didn't understand the data. He didn't understand how these cases are billed, the economics of employment law, right? And he was making a decision based on a real dearth of information. And it was a decision that, I don't know his finances, but could have governed the largest sum of money he would ever hold in his life. Had his had had he handled his case correctly, or if he handles his case correctly, it could very well result in the largest sum of money he'll ever have. Just based on the little I know about his job prospects, his career, what's going on, the economy of the United States at large, statistically speaking, he could be right now making decisions about the largest sum he will ever control. The largest lump sum of liquid assets, cold hard cash, that he'll ever have the ability to make decisions about. And he's a clever guy. He's going to be fine. But if you don't understand how unlikely it is that the EEOC is going to actually file a lawsuit for you, and if you don't understand that largely the EEOC was created as a stumbling block to keep your case out of federal court, with an incredibly short statute of limitations, depending on the state you're in, either 180 or 300 days, right? That statute of limitations wasn't created to help you. It's bonkers. Think about that. The way a human being works, very few of us will ever even begin to process the trauma of a very serious sexual assault, sexual harassment, workplace hate crime, whatever it is. When bad things happen to humans, humans take time to digest what happened to them. We know this. Trauma is studied. We don't understand all of it. We've got the starting point. It takes time. Generally more than 180 days. Often more than 300 days. So I don't think that an agency created by a statute that sets out those incredibly short statutes of limitation can really be thought of as an agency meant to help you. The goal is to dispose of claims before they get to federal court. That's what I view the goal of the EEOC to be. And that can be great. It can be great. They're, I think, reporting, let me confirm this here, that they are resolving 46.7% of their mediations. So when they schedule mediation, and they don't seem to actually say how often of those 81,055 cases, how often a mediation is scheduled, which is a very, very large data point to be missing. But when they do actually schedule a mediation, when they do, they resolve the case 46.7% of the time. That's big. That speaks well for those mediators. Now, it does speak well for them, but I'm going to do another video discussing some of the dollar figures the EEOC reported. And I think we're all going to be a little concerned in terms of what the EEOC might be achieving for the average litigant, the average complainant. It might not be what you think. And it might, again, be reflective that you may want an attorney who actually does this, who has hundreds or thousands of repetitions doing just this thing. Specifically, someone called an employment attorney. I'm not saying you should hire me. In fact, on this channel, my constant refrain is, hey, go hire local counsel. Local counsel will be cheaper than the national firms, right? If you can find a good local option, you should. They're there. They know the lay of the land. They don't have to fly a trial team in first class. They don't have to pay for hotels. They will be cheaper, right? So, yeah, do I think you should hire an attorney? I do. Do I necessarily think you should hire me? I don't. I don't. And I spend tens of hours per year making videos telling people, don't just think about the national firms. Don't just call the guy with the YouTube channel. Call your local options first. There's 2 playlists of videos on this channel. How to find a local employment attorney, how to evaluate a local employment attorney. They have 30 plus hours of videos each, I think. And they are sincerely built as tools to help you not hire our firm. So again, when I say you should hire an attorney at the EEOC level, I don't mean you should necessarily hire us. It's not really something I have a profit motive in. You should, and I spend my time arguing that you should, hire local counsel if you can for a variety of reasons. And I cannot stress enough, they can be cheaper and just as good. Sincerely, I wouldn't lie to you. My family's opinions aside. I hope this was helpful, everybody. Like, subscribe, comment down below. Share the channel so it can grow. I hope you're all doing great. Take care.